Hello, I'd like to thank Alan for coming and taking time to join us today to help us guide us through a typical fire service audit of your own fire safety arrangements under the Regulatory Reform Order which came into force in October 2006. Alan, before we get into this, there's a new term that's been introduced. It's the term of the responsible person. Could you please just take time to explain what the responsible person is in a business?
The responsible person is anyone who has control over whole or part of the premises. For example, this could be an employer or a managing agent or owner where the facilities are shared. This includes fire safety equipment such as fire alarm systems and sprinklers, or an occupier of premises where self-employed or voluntary organisations operate, and it applies to any other person who has control over part of the premises.
Thanks for that, Alan. And there's also a competent person. Is the competent person the same as the responsible person?
The competent person, this is a different person from the responsible person. It's the duty of the responsible person to secure the services of a competent person to assist him in carrying out his preventative and protective measures. This could be the services of, for example, a fire alarm installer, a fire extinguisher maintainer, or in the cases of more complex premises, a fire risk assessment consultant. However, the ownership still remains with the responsible person.
Would you typically look to make an appointment before undertaking a fire safety audit in a business?
Normally we would give up to 5 weeks notice of a frequency-based audit, and this is in line with national policy. However, following a complaint being received from anyone, an inspector will attend the premises as soon as possible, as there is reason to believe that an offence may have been committed under the order.
That's great. So you've made your appointment. What information are you going to ask the business for to prepare prior to your visit?
When an appointment is made, an advisory note will be provided. This will explain the audit process and the required documentation. This documentation includes the fire risk assessment, fire precautions logbook, staff training records, servicing records for all fire safety systems, including fire alarm systems, emergency lighting and sprinklers, etc.
Right then, much has been made of fire risk assessments at the moment. Can you explain why a business needs one and what benefit you think the business will gain from having a fire risk assessment conducted on the premise?
The responsible person, either on their own or with any other responsible person, must, as far as reasonably practical, make sure that anyone who may legally be on the premises can escape safely in the event of a fire. This differs from previous legislation in that you must consider everyone who may be on your premises, whether they are members of the public and/or visitors. You should pay particular attention to people who may have some disability or anyone who may need extra assistance to escape.
Right then, so they're of great value for both the protection of life in the workplace and the protection of the workplace itself, are they?
Yes.
So, you've arrived for your appointment now. Typically, how is the meeting or the appointment going to be structured?
The audit will entail the inspector looking at the requested paperwork and completing the audit form appropriately. The form asks questions relating to compliance with the general duties required by law. It also gathers data for the Fire and Rescue Service to use in its integrated risk management plan. This allocates the premises with a relative risk level, which ensures the appropriate level of emergency response is mobilised. An inspector may also ask to see risk-critical areas such as escape routes or any other area he may deem necessary during his visit.
Whilst you're in working with the business, will you point out areas where they can or may need to devote some more time and attention to?
Yes, but we will not provide prescriptive advice, as this may be construed as the service taking ownership of their risk. The audit will determine the level of enforcement from educate and inform to, in extreme cases, a prohibition notice being issued.
So would it be useful then if they had a pen and paper handy to make some notes?
Yes, the inspector will explain where you are failing to comply and the best options of achieving compliance.
I know that there are a number of notices that you can actually issue. Could you briefly explain a little about these notices and what it actually means to the responsible person and to the business who receive these notices?
Yes, there are 3 different types of notices which may be issued. At the lower level, it's a notification of deficiencies. This is issued to low and very low level risk premises where less serious areas of non-compliance have been identified. Moving on to the enforcement notice, This is where premises are of medium risk and above, and will include a timescale for completion of the work identified. And finally, a prohibition notice. This is served where serious fire safety issues have been identified and may apply to part or whole of the premises.
So what support can you give the businesses once they've received one of these notices from you or perhaps one of your fire safety officers?
Where a notice has been issued, it will identify the areas of non-compliance, referring to the specific article within the order. A remedy will be provided, but this is non-prescriptive, and it is up to the responsible person to achieve compliance with the requirements of the order. The inspector will usually encourage compliance rather than rely on enforcement where possible.
Alan, so the business has now completed the work as requested by Cumbria Fire Service and detailed in any notices issued. What should they do now?
Where an enforcement notice or prohibition notice has been issued, a follow-up audit will be carried out to ensure that the compliance has been achieved. Once satisfied, the inspector will then withdraw the notice in writing.
Hopefully then they now satisfy all the requirements under the regulatory reform order as far as you're concerned. When can they expect another visit from you?
The timing of the next visit will be determined by the outcome of the audit itself.
Alan, that's brilliant. Thanks very much for taking time out of your busy day to help us with this.